out of church on a Sunday feeling like you want to do more. Not only for your family and friends, but also for your community and for the people on your team, the people you spend hundreds of hours with. You travel the ups and the downs together. You feel God nudging you to do more, but on a Friday, you may have walked out of a budget meeting only to be reminded things are tight. In the midst of it all, you're just trying to get your products delivered on time. You feel stopped. You don't know where to start, so you don't do anything. We know it's important to care for our team members, but how do we take the first steps?
The mortgage business in 2008 was in a massive crisis. There were companies going under left and right. We literally couldn't even get a copier company to give us a lease. That's how bad of a bet the mortgage business was in 2008.
Movement saw that adversity as an opportunity. We stepped in and said we are going to process every single loan that comes in 7 business days and give consumers weeks and months maybe of peace of mind knowing that their loan is fully approved and fully processed before they have to go buy a house.
Casey hired me in 2007. I really sort of thought he was crazy. At that time, the other mortgage clients that I had were in panic mode, starting to dismantle the business. The writing was on the wall for the industry. And so I really sort of figured he was going to be a once-in-a-blue moon client. I was wrong.
We were small and nimble enough to make those changes without too much trouble. That process and that commitment to excellence actually led to an exponential market share gain and growth over the next 10 years, where we grew from about 5 employees to 5,000. And the Lord was really convicted me that we weren't just going to take 10% of our profit and put it in a foundation. We wanted to take a substantial portion of our earnings and give it to our foundation. But more than having that capital sit in the foundation, we want that money to hit the streets where it was actually doing what the Lord intended for it to do, loving and serving the marginalized. And that took a huge leap of faith. I can tell you, we always could have used a little more capital in the business or a little more capital in the foundation. But we just kind of pressed into what we felt the Lord was leading us to do. And he was always so faithful to provide that next project to love and serve folks.
A movement of change is really about seeing an industry that was consumed by greed be transformed into an industry that is built on loving and valuing people.
There's so many ways we fall short of that each and every day, and we're just waking up each day trying to think about how to more authentically and more effectively love and serve our teammates, help our teammates love and serve our clients, and then collectively come together to love and serve the communities that we're a part of.
The first way we're seeking to love our teammates is to love them when they're in crisis. And for us, that means love works. Love takes action. Now, for us, that means when crisis strikes, we show up. The needs of crisis started to surface early in our company organically when we were just a small company of 5. And it showed when friends and teammates couldn't meet the basic necessities of life.
LoveWorks is an employee-funded program currently that helps other employees out when they're having a hardship. Originally, it was started by Toby and Casey. They wanted to figure out a way to invest in their employees in a different and kind of more unique way.
Like, for instance, let me introduce you to Maria. Maria called one of our teammates and said, would it be okay if I worked remotely? Now, this is long before working remote was actually a thing. She said, payday's coming up on Monday. Would it be okay if I worked Thursday and Friday remotely? And our teammate May said, well, why is that? And she said, well, I don't have enough money to put gas in the car. And if I save up that gas money, then I can make it until payday. And May went to Casey and said, hey, is there a way we can meet this need? And Casey said, well, if she can't put gas in the car, then I'm betting that she can't put food in the fridge. So let's do both. Let's do gas and food in the fridge.
This is it. This is unique, different, and we want to do this. So that's where it launched from. And it was really already happening organically through just the culture of movement. We care about each other, we're gonna help each other out. So those kind of natural things were happening, and then it just kind of grew to be more specific.
So he pulled in some volunteer spouses who were just passionate about creating a community of love. Yeah. I kind of do some similar things in my church. I'd love to help. Then Casey and Toby, our founders, realized, hey, we're going to seed this and invite others to come in and create this kind of community, and we'll see what happens. And then said, if you want to make a payroll deduction, if this is the kind of community that you want to build, that when you're in crisis, you know help's coming, you can just deduct it out of your payroll. People just click, and before we knew it, we had a large fund that was entirely funded through payroll deductions of teammates.
And then the foundation would match those funds in the early days. So anytime somebody gets granted help with rent or utility, we're able to tell them that this came from your fellow coworkers who have decided to support one another in their time of need. So it really builds that community aspect of like, your peers are helping you do this right now, regardless of knowing the details of your situation. The average payroll deduction is probably around $5. We always tell everybody it's not the amount that you give, it's just the buy-in to the concept and being a part of this culture. So a lot of people will just do $5 a paycheck.
I really hope we begin to tell a new and better story for how businesses can operate and be places where employees can flourish and thrive and use all their gifts, talents, and abilities in really meaningful and fulfilling ways. And also those businesses can play a meaningful role in solving some of the big problems that exist in communities around America.
So there's recent surveys that will tell us people have very, very low trust in politicians. They have more trust in their church, but do you know who they have 6 times the level of trust in? Local business owners, small business owners. It's amazing to see the impact the business community is having right now in creating trust, which highlights the opportunity that we have in the marketplace to love people.
We were up to 150 applications pretty quickly the following year, but the like emotional support and the care and the weight of what people are going through that you're trying to like walk with them through is a lot.
LoveWorks is the cornerstone of how we as an organization say that we're going to love and value one another. We want them to understand that they've got a safety net, that they've got a community of people that have set aside resources from the beginning to meet their needs when they're in crisis. They should never, ever feel alone because they've got a community of people that loves them and wants to help them navigate through that situation.
We realized we were reacting. Our love was largely reactionary, and we had to make a shift where love went from just being reactive to proactive. We get to show up and help and step in, but we also wanted to not just react, we needed to go upstream. How can we go upstream and look at the issues that are continuing to flow downstream? For us, it became, we're going to make marriage counseling available. From a faith perspective, from a secular perspective, we're going to have financial coaching on board.
You know, we're a separate entity, but like Movement's culture, and you're sitting next to someone every day at the office or communicating with them every day, like that's how people come to us, is because their coworkers notice something or tell them to reach out to LoveWorks. So there's already this built-in community aspect of working together. We hear from people all the time that Movement is my family. This is my biggest support. Like, I love the people I work with. Like, they're the ones checking in on me, all of that. And that makes a world of difference for us on the LoveWorks side of things, knowing that they have that built-in community already. They may not have a great family support, they might not have great community support out in the community, but knowing that they have a Movement community makes a big difference.
Okay, I'm back with another little day 4 vlog. About 24 hours after my last one that I recorded. I'll try to keep this steady. I woke up feeling weird. My body was just not communicating. My brain wasn't communicating with my body the way that my brain usually does.
Kyrie's story is she has been around forever. I've always seen Kyrie, like, if there's a volunteer experience at one of our schools or out in the community, she's like the first one on the list to sign up. And her story was so wild because she's so young. It's just unexpected, like how everything happened for her.
She continued to tell me kind of the symptoms she was having. She was trying to drive and she'd tell her foot to hit the gas and it would hit the brake and vice versa.
So on the morning of the 10th, while my mom was working from Denver, she was talking to her manager, Kristen Douglas, and let her know that I was kind of going through something and I was going to need to go to the hospital. And Kristen, who happened to be off work that day, came and picked me up and took me to the hospital that I needed to go to. They were immediately concerned that I was having a stroke, and then they informed me that I had blood clots in the veins of my brain. I was kind of under the impression that I was going to get the clot out and I was going to leave with no clots, but found out today I'm basically gonna. I started having some fears that I might not actually leave the hospital, that I could actually die at 27 years old.
First of all, the big concern was, why is this happening? She's 27 years old. All of that obviously was pretty overwhelming.
So Kyrie decided that she would apply for LoveWorks. At first she was not excited about doing it. She is a very independent, together young lady. LoveWorks, I explained, could be a bridge for her to be able to bridge the gap in her income until she could get back to work. And I knew that she was going to be struggling financially, and I did not want her to be in that situation.
Do I really need it? Because when I'm thinking LoveWorks, I'm thinking people losing their homes or people craziness.
And I got so many messages about how she was doing and how can we support her. And that's the thing at Movement. Everyone always wants to do whatever they can to support each other.
This company, it's the thing that we love to do most. We love to wrap our arms around people who are in need and be able to provide for them. And
I can't even imagine how I would have survived post-hospital life with the stress of a financial burden of hospital bills and trying to come up with how I'm going to make my next mortgage payment. LoveWorks helping me not even worry about the financial burden was this huge weight off my shoulders.
This is a practical application of everything that has been prayed for in church, I think, but also what we learn about in church about how to care for one another and how to be more Christ-like. And I think this program can show that in a unique way, but it's really like, it feels like the right way, right? That we should be caring for each other like this, no matter if it's in a church building or in a corporate building, in the community. Like, we should be leaning in and caring for each other.
Every day, I get to watch and experience a community of love, loving God and loving people. The Great Commandment, the Great Commission. I thought we had the corner on the market in the local church as a pastor, but what I've experienced is the power of it can be lived out in the marketplace so powerfully, because as a pastor, I long for people to meet Jesus.
It is so simple, but it is hard. You know, it's not an easy process. Like, we all have our own things that we're bringing to, but it is simple.
We have basic human needs that we all want to be met. And if we can identify, when I'm in crisis, I want help. When I show up to work, I want a friend who loves me. And when I show up to work, I want to live a life of purpose. We found those three things, help in crisis, a friend at work, and a life of purpose, make the soul come back to life. We want to build a community that everyone says, I want to be a part of that because I got friends that love me, I'm living on purpose. Man, when things blow up, I got a community that helps me. Everyone wants that, so let's build it for people.